25 years ago. The murder of Chicago millionaire real estate mogul Lee Miglin. Then, the whodunit became the most wanted and feared man in America, Andrew Cunanan. Now, on CBS News Chicago, the story as it unfolded.
This is the CBS 2 archive. Goes back nearly 50 years. We scoured it for key moments in the Miglin murder. For those of you that lived through it, you might remember it like it was yesterday. For those that didn't, here's exactly how it went down. We begin now with the lead newscast, May 4th, 1997, anchored by Lester Holt and Linda McLennan. The lead story, the murder of a prominent local developer.
I'm Linda McLennan.
And I'm Lester Holt. No place and no one is immune from violence, yet tonight we begin with the story of a murder nearly as disturbing for where it happened as it is for who the victim was. He was a real estate tycoon, married to the prominent owner of a Chicago cosmetics company. Lee and Marilyn Miglin lived on Chicago's Gold Coast, married for more than 30 years. Tonight, police are still on the scene where Lee's body was found this morning. Tonight, police say they know how he died and are left with some intriguing clues that could tell them a lot about Lee Miglin's last moments of life and perhaps even point to a killer. News 2 Chicago's Jodine Costanzo has been following the case. She joins us now live from the Gold Coast with the latest. Jodine?
Lester, in a neighborhood where murder is so rare, people here are understandably shaken. Tonight, police have secured both the front and the back of the Miglin home where family and friends are gathering, undoubtedly asking, why was Lee Miglin murdered? Earlier tonight, his son came out and made a brief statement to the media.
It's a very difficult time for all of us. I just arrived myself from Los Angeles, and we're all just grieving the loss of my father. And we don't know any details of what's happening.
Here's what police are saying. They found Lee Miglin with his throat slashed ear to ear and his feet bound with masking tape. The 72-year-old real estate mogul was on the floor of the garage behind his Scott Street home. But was he killed there? The medical examiner says Miglin's clothes were saturated in blood, but the area around the body was clean. That may suggest the body was moved. His wife, Marilyn, apparently became suspicious when she arrived home from a business trip to Canada this morning to find Lee missing and a handgun in the couple's bathroom. She allegedly told police she knows who owns the gun, but who that person is, police aren't saying. Marilyn then called 911 and reported her husband missing, and missing from the garage, the Miglin's 94 green Lexus. Police think Miglin was murdered between 2 and 5 yesterday afternoon. News 2 Chicago has learned that Miglin spent part of the morning getting a haircut at this Oak Street hair salon.
He was in a very good mood. We were discussing Marilyn's fundraising at the Drake, which was very successful, and that they were planning to go to Israel and name a wing in her honor. And he was looking forward to that.
When he left the salon, Dolores never imagined it would be the last time she would see him. Now, police have put out an all-points bulletin for the Miglin's car. It is a 1994 green Lexus, and that license plate number is YKD399. Again, that number, YKD399. If you have any information about that car, you're asked to call police. Reporting live from the Gold Coast, Jodine Costanzo, News 2 Chicago. Linda, back to you.
Let's skip ahead 24 hours. The murder still shocking Chicago. Some bizarre details begin to emerge, like what was in the fridge at the Miglin home at the time. Here we are.
Let's begin tonight with information from inside the police department's high-profile investigation into the murder of real estate mogul Lee Miglin. The 72-year-old was found Sunday morning in his Gold Coast garage, the victim of a very vicious crime. Tonight, our information comes from those working the crime scene. It's considered, for now, to be the theory that detectives are working on, for now. News 2 Chicago's Jeff Morrell has more. Jeff?
Linda, this information is coming from someone very close to the investigation, but it does not mean that this case is anywhere close to being solved. However, we have learned that detectives working this case do not, I repeat, do not believe Miglin knew his killer or killers, but rather was targeted, or rather are treating this simply as a crime of opportunity, that he was targeted simply because he was rich and vulnerable. Despite his enormous wealth, power, and Gold Coast address, it now appears Lee Miglin was the victim of a random street crime. News 2 Chicago has learned that detectives investigating this case believe Miglin was jumped by one or more petty thieves as he came home Saturday afternoon. A source close to the investigation tells me Miglin had parked his Lexus in that garage back there, walked across this alleyway, and was in the process of opening his back gate when someone stuck what Miglin believed to be a loaded gun in his back and ordered him inside his other garage. There, according to my source, Miglin was nearly decapitated with a pair of 5-foot-long pruning shears, which police recovered in the garage. That same source says Miglin's head had been covered with a plastic bag, masking tape wrapped around his throat. However, holes had been cut in the bag so Miglin could breathe.
There are aspects of the homicide that indicate that there was some torture that occurred.
Police believe the killer or killers found the tape, bag, and pruning shears in the garage, indicating they used whatever was handy at the time to commit this brutal, messy murder.
This case looks quite unprofessional.
In an upstairs bathroom of the Miglin's multi-million-dollar home, police recovered a fake plastic handgun. The medical examiner found no defensive wounds on Miglin, indicating he may have honestly believed there was a loaded gun held to his back and therefore submitted to his attacker's demands. As for motive, police suspect robbery, although little of value was taken from the house. Strangely, the suspect or suspects helped themselves to a ham in the refrigerator and left a half-eaten apple behind before fleeing in Miglin's Lexus. That car could be the key to solving this crime. A source tells me someone has been making calls from the car's cell phone and police are tracing them, but so far have not nabbed the killer. Although one of our viewers spotted a dark green Lexus with the same last 3 license plate numbers as Miglin's driving out of this Southside gas station this morning. Now, based upon our information, police have confiscated surveillance tapes from the security cameras in that gas station. Now, adding further credibility to this street crime theory is the fact that I am told 2 days prior to Miglin's murder, there was a complaint to police of a couple suspicious-looking street people hanging out and rummaging through garbage cans in some Gold Coast alleys. Perhaps there is a connection between those two and whoever killed Lee Miglin. Reporting live from the Gold Coast, I'm Jeff Murrow, News 2 Chicago. Lester, back to you.
Jeff, thank you. Columnist Irv Kupson once described Lee Miglin and his wife Marilyn as 2 of Chicago's finest citizens. This evening, Kupp visited Marilyn Miglin to express his condolences. Kupp and his wife Essie lost a daughter to violent crime. After the visit, Kupp told reporters how Marilyn Miglin is holding up.
I think she's very strong and holding up very well. She's in tears quite a bit, naturally. And she's hearing from a lot of old friends from around the country. And she's very grateful for the press and the television and radio who have covered the story so accurately. And she's very grateful for that.
2 days in, 2 major developments. One of them, we're hearing from the murdered millionaire's widow, Marilyn Miglin.
Now to another story. We continue to watch the Miglin murder investigation as detectives pursue leads in the murder case. Tonight, the family shares its grief with Chicago. Members of the Miglin family were joined by his business partner for a very emotional news conference. His widow spoke first, her words straight from the heart.
What do you say about a man you loved passionately for 38 years? A man who exemplified courage and honor and dignity and a code of ethics beyond any that I think anybody's ever met.
Detectives are playing this case close to the vest, revealing very little of what they know. What's clear, however, is that they desperately want to find Miglin's stolen car. Jeff Murrow joins us now live outside the Miglin home with the latest on the case. Jeff?
Lester, on orders from the top brass at the police department, detectives are saying nothing new about what may have happened in this alleyway Saturday afternoon, but today they did release this special bulletin. It's a sketch and description of Miglin's missing '94 Lexus. They hope that one of our viewers may have spotted it and in turn can lead police to it and perhaps then to the killer. But so far they have been chasing dozens of false leads.
4 days in, the Chicago murder mystery becomes a mushroom cloud and a name.
Good evening, everyone.
That soon Everyone in America will know.
We begin tonight with a new twist and several new turns in the Lee Miglin murder investigation. First, the key figure in this case, fugitive Andrew Cunanan. Tonight, the search for Cunanan has now spread to yet another city, Philadelphia. We also learn tonight of Cunanan's ties to this state, Illinois. His mother and sister live in downstate Eureka, just outside of Peoria. It's a quiet area about 2 hours south of Chicago.
Now we want to bring in Richard Schlesinger, one of our correspondents from 48 Hours. Richard, thank you for joining us.
The gunman had vanished, but now police had a name, Andrew Cunanan.
We spent a considerable amount of time reconstructing Andrew Cunanan's movements. What was strange is that by pure coincidence, I had interviewed Jeff Trail, his first victim, years before he was murdered, for a story we were doing on gays in the military. When he ended up being Cunanan's first victim, I was naturally stunned and pretty interested in the case.
38 years at CBS News. Have you ever covered a story that transfixed a country for such a long period of time?
That's a tough question. Just in terms of sheer horror, there was something about the craven nature of his crimes, of his murders, just the viciousness of them, that I think took a lot of people by storm.
Why did Andrew Cunanan torture and murder Lee Miglin?
And here's a millionaire, right? In his Gold Coast mansion, which is hoity-toity Chicago.
Yeah, and he's found in his garage, gaffer taped to the floor, smothered, beaten. I mean, this was violence on a level that we really don't see that much.
When you heard 25 years later, I mean, did you know that already?
When Mrs. Miglin died, I was thinking about the case, obviously. But even then, I didn't make the 25-year connection.
For more than 2 months, the murder of Lee Miglin remained a baffling mystery. Then, in July, a connection to South Florida and the murder of fashion icon Gianni Versace outside of his Miami mansion, July 15th.
He is Andrew Cunanan, a name that is well known here in Chicago. Tonight, the man who is wanted for the murder of Chicago millionaire Lee Miglin is now the suspect in a murder that has rocked the fashion world. Italian designer Gianni Versace was shot on the steps of his Miami villa this morning. At the scene, witnesses saw a man who fit Cunanan's description. If, in fact, this is the work of Cunanan, it may be the latest in a killing spree that has stretched from Minnesota to Chicago to New Jersey and now to Florida. That's where the manhunt for Cunanan continues tonight, and that's where News 2 Chicago's chief correspondent Jay Levine is. Jay.
Linda, this is South Beach. It's one of the hottest sections of Miami. It is always busy here, but never like this. Even if nothing happened this morning, the White Mansion this morning, Gianni Versace's mansion, would stand out. It's the only private home on what they call Deco Drive. Tonight, as you can see, people are crowded outside. Traffic is jammed for miles, all looking to get a glimpse of a serial killer's latest crime. It wasn't long after the shots rang out and the legendary Italian designer had collapsed in front of his oceanfront villa that authorities began whispering the now familiar name of the prime suspect. At 7 o'clock, they said it out loud.
For Andrew Philip Cunanan as a suspect in the murder of Gianni Versace.
Police here immediately discounted the murder being a random act. Versace was targeted, perhaps stalked, sources say, by a lone gunman who wasn't out to rob his victims, simply firing at point-blank range before he fled on foot.
I saw Gianni Versace laying face down on his steps with his head blown off.
But even as ordinary people gathered and the rich and powerful began to react to the murder of the fashion world superstar, the discovery of the red pickup in a nearby parking garage helped lead police to their suspect. It had South Carolina plates, but the vehicle identification number revealed it was the same truck stolen from another of Cunanan's alleged victims in New Jersey. Bloody clothing was found by the car, which was dusted for fingerprints and then towed away. Releasing pictures of the many faces of Andrew Cunanan, the FBI here confirmed reported sightings of Cunanan in the Palm Beach and Miami area over the past few weeks.
Even serial killers don't kill everybody. So I assume there's somebody out there, and we're hoping that somebody will recognize this photograph and call us and say, yeah, I met the guy. We had a couple of drinks, and here's where you can find him.
declining to discuss a motive for the Versace murder or other evidence reportedly linking Cunanan to it. Authorities have now issued a warning that Cunanan's 5 victims had very little in common.
There is no indication that all the people were gay or that he knew all of them. So nobody's safe in this, and that's a point we have to get across. Don't think that because you're not gay that you're not a possible victim in this thing. Everybody's at risk. Everybody's got to help us put this guy in jail.
If there is a pattern to this alleged serial killer's 3-month odyssey, it is by the time authorities realize who they're looking for, he has vanished, and so appears to be the case tonight. Andrew Cunanan's classmates in San Diego voted him the man least likely to forget. If what police here say about him is true, he has taken another step today toward proving them right. In South Beach, I'm Jay Levine, News 2 Chicago. Linda, back to you in Chicago.
Jay, I know this is of incredible interest to a lot of people, particularly down in Miami, as well as people up here. Are the police getting a lot of leads? Are they getting any more information that they can go with?
Linda, they appear to have a lot of information. They have physical evidence, they say, although they won't say exactly what that evidence is, aside from the red truck. However, the reports of sightings have been coming in. They say they've handed out 2,000 leaflets here over the past month alone because of reported sightings, and that was before this morning. Until the information comes in, the question is how credible it is.
All right, Jay, thank you.
8 days after the Versace murder, truly stunning development. July 23rd, authorities in Florida surround a houseboat. In that houseboat, they believe is the man, the murderer everyone is looking for, Andrew Cunanan. Here it is, minute by minute.
Good evening and welcome to News 2 Chicago. I'm Lester Holt.
And I'm Linda McLennan. There are conflicting reports tonight from South Florida after a 5-hour standoff. Miami police have moved inside a houseboat along Miami Beach. Inside, there are reports that they have pulled the body of an unidentified man, although there are reports that that man is Andrew Cunanan. We want to take you live to Miami right now. CBS reporter Dave Failing standing by.
A lot of confusion here tonight in Miami over exactly what happened at a houseboat that is less than 3 miles from the Gianni Versace murder scene and a place where Andrew Cunanan, the wanted serial killer, alleged serial killer, had been known to frequent. Earlier this afternoon, for about 4 hours, there was a police standoff with what they thought was an armed gunman inside, that houseboat. After about 4 hours, heavily armed police went in. They reported at that time that they found no one inside the boat. Now, there are broadcast reports here in Miami tonight that there has been a body found inside this houseboat, that the person committed suicide, possibly with a .40 caliber handgun, the same kind of gun that Cunanan was supposed to have used in at least a couple of murders. And there is, of course, speculation and some reports that this is the body of Andrew Cunanan. The FBI will not comment on this. The local police, Miami Beach Police, are about to hold a news conference, and it is at that news conference that we expect to get some answers as to if, in fact, a body was found and whose body that is. That is the latest from Miami. Dave Failing, CBS News. Now back to you.
How far is the houseboat located from the villa belonging to Gianni Versace? Interesting location here, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 miles, so it's not exactly next door, but it's not that far away, and it's really merely blocks from the Normandy Hotel, which is where Cunanan was known to have stayed in the weeks previous to the murder.
Dave, it was an extraordinary afternoon. The SWAT team moved in. Now, my understanding, it was a report of someone near there that a shot had been fired. Why did this thing play out so long, and any reason why we're just now beginning to hear these reports?
Well, that's is the unexplained part about this, because there was the guy who discovered this person supposedly inside the houseboat was a caretaker. He said that a shot was fired at him, and he took off running, called the cops, and that's when the standoff began.
Sorry to interrupt you. We want to go to our sister station,
Sure.
WFOR in Miami right now, and find out what they're reporting.
Boats on the water. There were officers with dogs searching this area. News 4's John Dutzman was on the water. He saw all of this going down. John is joining us live now from Miami Beach. John?
All right, thank you very much, and well, I'll tell you what, we don't know exactly what we have on our hands here, but I will tell you for sure this is something big. And here's the reason behind this. Once this began, and once we had a situation inside of the houseboat. We rented a boat of our own and went to the west. We went to the west side of the Indian Creek Canal, and I want you to take a look at some videotape of what went on from the other side from a unique perspective here. You see a SWAT member on a bow of a police boat. You see dogs on the other side of the canal searching these rather wealthy homes. Now this guy boards this Chris Craft yacht. I mean, talk about a surreal piece of video here. This is a very elite area of Miami Beach. SWAT teams all over the place. And of course, the problem here, because he's on the houseboat, there was a possibility if somebody was inside here that he would have jumped off the back of the houseboat. It's about a 250-yard swim to the west bank here of the Indian Creek Canal. So there they go from boat to boat searching, and when it was all over, we have a very close shot here of the houseboat itself, and you see here police dusting the blinds here for fingerprints, and we don't know exactly what they have inside there, but as Aline reported earlier, there are strong indications that there is a body in there. There are strong indications that the body resembles Andrew Cunanan. And right now, police have not come here for a news conference. They told us the reason for the delay is because they want to make sure they tell us the right thing, that they have something going on at this scene, and they want to be very precise with the information. That would indicate to me that there is something very big going on in there. Now, as we might have mentioned earlier in this show, this scene caused a massive amount of chaos during rush hour on Miami Beach, and the road was blocked off for most of rush hour. You couldn't get anywhere, but now that has been opened up and the cars are moving through, but we still have a massive scene here, and police, FBI, FDLE agents, and people are waiting to see exactly what they have inside this houseboat. Reporting live from Miami Beach, John Dutzman, News 4 South Florida.
And if you're just joining us, this is News 2 Chicago you're watching. That was live coverage from our sister station, WFOR in Miami, reporting the discovery of a body in a houseboat at Miami Beach where there was a standoff earlier, and now the apparent discovery of a body that resembles, according to reports, Andrew Cunanan, the spree killing suspect, also wanted in a killing here in Chicago. Not positively identified, but broadcast reports quoting police in Miami Beach is saying it is Andrew Cunanan. We're continuing to monitor the reports from our sister station. We're expecting a news conference from Miami Beach Police shortly. We'll keep you posted as this broadcast continues. We are going now live to Miami Beach. The Miami Police making a comment on the discovery of a body that may be Andrew Cunanan. Let's listen.
Special agent in charge of the Miami office of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Shortly after 4:00 p.m. this day, a caretaker arrived at 5250 Collins Avenue, the houseboat that is right behind me. Upon entering the residence, the caretaker heard a gunshot, at which time he retreated and called the police department. Units from the Miami Beach Police Department arrived and secured the scene. Subsequently, a special response team from the Metro-Dade Police Department was requested to provide assistance. Attempts to solicit a response from inside were unsuccessful. An entry was made into the houseboat, at which time a white male victim was located. The scene has now been turned back over to Miami Beach Police Department investigators, who are working very closely with agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, as they have been since the shooting of Gianni Versace on July 15th. At this time, we are waiting for the arrival of forensic units from the Metro-Dade Police Department in an effort to try to preliminarily identify the deceased. When we have that information, we will release it to you. I have no comment on that with respect to what I believe is immaterial. What we will establish through the forensic test is what I think we want to stick to.
Chief,
there is a similarity in the description of the victim that was found. Beyond that, I will tell you that there is nothing else to indicate at this time that it is him.
Chief, was he shot? Was he shot in this incident, or was he dead earlier?
I have no comment on whether he was shot or not.
Chief was getting counseled on that answer.
As soon as we have additional information, we will release it to you. Thank you.
That was a live news conference from Miami. Police there announcing that the body of a white male has been removed from a houseboat just off Miami Beach. There was a 5-hour standoff today around that houseboat. There were some initial reports, a lot of it seemed like speculation, that it might have been Andrew Cunanan on that boat. The caretaker arrived, he heard shots, and so the police moved in, and for 5 hours there was a standoff, but the police said throughout all that time that there was nothing about that standoff that made them think that it was Andrew Cunanan.
And even now, playing cagey, refusing to answer the question of whether it's
Right.
Cunanan, someone who looks like him. We can tell you there are broadcast reports in the Miami Beach area that they claim they have had reports in police that it was Cunanan, not confirmed, but certainly you have to wonder about, it's 11:10 in the evening in Miami Beach, a news conference by police in a place that murder has happened before, that something extraordinary is up. We're going to keep you posted throughout this newscast as we get more information from that.
I guess the next people we're going to hear from are the forensics, and he's hoping, as he said, to get some sort of preliminary identification, but it sounded as though this person resembled the description that they have of Andrew Cunanan.
So stay with us as we sort this out. We'll be back with more news in just a moment.
24 hours later, at 10 p.m. news, Cunanan confirmed dead. He was indeed in that houseboat. But still, to this day, a number of questions confound us.
The manhunt is over, but the public's rightful thirst for answers as to what made Andrew Cunanan tick has not been quenched. Tonight, one of the FBI's most wanted cases is closed. On its website, the banner over his name reads, "Found dead." A positive ID, a fingerprint match. At the scene, a .40 caliber gun. A suicide, but no note. And police say no answers about why this man went on a killing spree that claimed a victim in Chicago and 3 other cities. News 2 Chicago's chief correspondent Jay Levine is live in Miami Beach with the latest. Jay?
Lester, last night at this time, everyone was gathered across Miami's busy Collins Avenue from that houseboat wondering, was it really Andrew Cunanan inside? Well, tonight we know for sure. There are still lots of unanswered questions, but first, let's begin with what we do have answers for, like how he died. According to the medical examiner, Andrew Cunanan opened his mouth, put in a .40 caliber handgun, and pulled the trigger. Apparently, after hearing the caretaker downstairs. Miami is quiet tonight and calm. No longer held hostage by Andrew Cunanan and his lust for blood. Killing Gianni Versace here was the turning point. 4 other murders had landed him on an FBI list and a TV show as one of America's most wanted. Yet people tell me as recently as a week ago Monday, he was still roaming freely around Miami's seedy North Beach area.
He just showed up, quite a number of times, almost every other day, and he would just say hello, goodbye. Very soft-spoken, very, very timid type of person.
Never had any conversation?
Never had any types of conversation with him at all.
But did he appear like he was hiding from something or just...
No, not at all.
The sign is still in the window of the hotel where he stayed, less than 5 miles from the fast, hot strip frequented by Gianni Versace and friends. Witnesses had placed him on South Beach, too, before the Versace murder. Afterwards, everything changed. Police were everywhere, blanketing the places he might have turned for help. He went underground, landing in this unoccupied houseboat owned by a mysterious German fugitive who's being questioned tonight by the FBI. And for the first time, reaching out to an old friend for help.
He was trying to reach out to these individuals for the purpose of obtaining false identification, especially in the form of a passport, so that he may flee the country.
Police say a surprise visit by a caretaker led to Wednesday night's assault on the houseboat and the death of the man who made it coast to coast, claiming victim after victim. But after killing Versace, couldn't run, couldn't hide.
Listen, he managed to get 40 blocks. That's the best he can do in all this time. I think we did a pretty good job.
Among the unanswered questions tonight, why did he start to kill? Why did he continue? And how did he choose his victims? Questions we still don't know the answers to tonight. Lester, back to you.
Well, Jay, the other big question, where has he been for the past week? Do we know how long he was on that houseboat?
At least part of the answer has come tonight from the interview with a caretaker, the caretaker who surprised him inside on a local TV program tonight. He said he last checked that houseboat on Saturday. No one was there. When he went back in yesterday, which was Wednesday, the place was a shambles. So what happened before Saturday, we still don't know. Apparently sometime after Saturday was when he got to that houseboat.
All right, Jay Levine in Miami Beach, thank you.
Once they get copies of Cunanan's fingerprints from Florida, Chicago police are expected to close their investigation into the murder of Lee Miglin. Mike Parker's here now with that story, the story of some very frustrated cops.
Frustrated indeed, Linda. Last night on this broadcast, we said Chicago police had been aching to get a chance to talk with Lee Miglin's accused killer, and they would be upset that Cunanan took that chance away from them. Today, the city's police superintendent said it himself.
Why did Andrew Cunanan torture and murder Lee Miglin? Now that Cunanan is dead and apparently failed to leave behind any suicide note, we may never know for sure. Neither will Chicago police investigators, who'd been hoping to interrogate Cunanan.
My reaction, of course, is sad because there are a lot of matters we want to clear up with respect to our case here in the city of Chicago.
Detectives say the evidence suggests the Chicago murder was a crime of opportunity, that Cunanan needed Miglin's car and he killed for it. Lee Miglin's family has said that from the beginning and said it again today. The Lexus was taken, they say, by a complete stranger in a random act of violence with no connection whatsoever to any member of the Miglin family.
Police Superintendent Rodriguez says unequivocally in his words, police have found no link between the two. Lester.
And Mike, there is also reaction tonight from the family of Andrew Cunanan's most well-known victim, Gianni Versace. The designer's family released this statement offering gratitude and sorrowful thanks to those who contributed to resolving the terrible killing of Gianni, end quote.
Andrew Cunanan's suicide leaves so many unanswered questions. Did he know Gianni Versace? Did he know Lee Miglin? Did somebody help him elude police? And what was his motive for beginning his killing spree? Perhaps in the next few days or weeks, we'll learn some of those answers.
Now we want to go back to our esteemed cohort and 48 Hours correspondent, Richard Schlesinger, who covered this extensively. Richard, we want to ask you 4 questions here 25 years later. Did Versace know Andrew Cunanan?
Well, we spent some time trying to figure that out, obviously. There was some speculation that they had met briefly in San Francisco at an opera performance, but it would have been, in passing. The problem with this case is, the only person who knows, or the only people who know, are dead. Cunanan shot himself, and right after he shot Versace. That's what's so vexing about this case, is there's so much, not only do we not know, but that we will never know.
Any chance Cunanan knew Lee Miglin?
The family had always maintained, and Lee Miglin's wife to her death maintained, that he never knew Cunanan. I'm not sure it really matters. In the Miglin case, this was such a horrible crime. The nature of it suggests that it was personal, just as, police work 101, when it's up close that way, and stab wounds and all these types of wounds. That's generally people who, know the victim. But, who knows? Cunanan was not a normal guy.
To what we know today, was Cunanan a lone wolf?
Yeah, no, I think all the law enforcement people believe he was in this alone. And that's not atypical. A lot of these random, crazy, really ultra-violent killers act alone.
In your months of diving into this, there's no known motive. What do you think was the motive?
I have to believe, there was a known connection between Cunanan and the first 2 victims, Jeff Trail and David Madsen. I heard a theory Cunanan was in love with David Madsen and was jealous of Jeff Trail, and that's what set him off, over the edge. I think there's probably some truth to that. It sounds plausible to me. And then for the others, who knows?
Richard, always appreciate your work and appreciate your time today.
Thank you. It's good talking to you.
And we want to end honoring the man Chicago lost 25 years ago, Lee Miglin, remembering him for his business success as a loving father, a devoted husband to Marilyn. We should note his widow, Miss Miglin, passed away in March of 2022 at the age of 83. Thanks for watching this CBS News Chicago special. I'm Brad Edwards.